Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I am your host, Christy. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, our two daughters, Tatum and Delaney, our tuxedo kitty, Lilu, and our terrier, Sophie. Welcome. If you are looking for me on Ravelry, I am Cristi-Lael, and on Instagram and Goodreads, I am Cristi-Lael without the dash. We also have a Relatively Crafty podcast group on Ravelry that still doesn't have much going on in it, but I do hope that one day before too long I will be able to start getting back into that. I am an accountant by day, and that does take up a lot of my time right now. There's lots and lots and lots of overtime. In fact, one of the reasons why I haven't podcast before now is because, well, two reasons. One is that I haven't been able to knit enough to really finish things, and I wanted to get a couple of things done to be able to show you. And two, I've been working pretty much every Saturday for the past 2 months. So I did manage to get this Saturday off for an unrelated reason that I will talk about later. And so I figured, I should podcast. Plus, I finished some things. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the knitting. As I said, I do have a couple of things that are finished that I would like to show you. First off, my February Lolo Did It hat. If you recall, last podcast, I said that I was considering doing the hippo for the holidays for the third year this year, only instead of doing socks I was going to make hats, and instead of doing hippos I was going to use the Yeti Goes To ... which is another collection of yarn that Lauren at Lolo Did It has been dyeing up for a while, and this year she included it in the hippos for the holidays. So I really, I just like the knit along. I know that I said that I wasn't going to do knit alongs this year, but I figure a hat, especially a hat out of worsted weight or DK weight, which is what I'm using, would be pretty easy to work out. So that is what I'm doing, and I finished February's hat. Now, January's hat was actually a hippo hat. It was the hippo for the holidays, baby yellow, hippo for baby yellow and orange that I had used leftovers and held them double in order to get a DK weight hat, and I made that for myself in January. This one is actually one that I was planning on making for my uncle. This is Yeti Goes To Disney. And it has all these great speckles in it. And you know what? I was probably just past the ribbing, and I decided that that Uncle doesn't get to have this one. I'm keeping this one for myself. I may end up keeping a lot of them for myself, honestly, but you know what? There's no shame in that, right? I'm the one buying the yarn, and I'm the one putting the time in to knit it, so if I want to keep it for myself, I have every right to, right? Yeah, we're going to go with that. Anyway, as I said, this is Yeti Goes To Disney. This is out of her her worsted base, and I knit it slightly different than I did the one that I knit for myself in January. I made the band longer. I also went up needle sizes, because this was worsted and the one that I knit for myself in January was DK. Basically, I cast on, I think, 94 stitches. I knit, I think, 40 rows, and then folded it in half, so I've got a double brim, and knit the two halves together. I went up an extra 4 stitches for the head part, so I had 100 stitches, and then knit for 6 inches, I think, and then did just a decrease, just very simple decrease, knit 8, knit two together basically, and then one row straight, and then knit 7, knit 2 together, and it gives this nice, just a pleasant looking decrease on top, and I think it looks great. And it fits lovely, and it's super fun, and I absolutely love it. And we just had a blizzard on Wednesday. It only lasted a couple of hours. I mean, it snowed most of the day, but the blizzard part was only a couple of hours. But we did get a lot of snow. There were high winds, and so I've been having lots of opportunities to wear said hat. So really, really enjoyed it, and so I will be doing that. 1 a month for the rest of the year. It only takes really a couple of days to knit a hat, so it works out nicely. And then I finished 2 pairs of socks. These ones I'll show first, although I did finish these second. These are the pair that I've been making for my mom. They got put on hold to knit a pair of socks for Ron, and then they got put on hold to knit a pair of socks for my daughter. I just kept putting them on hold for some reason. I really enjoyed knitting them, but for some reason the other ones just drew me more. This yarn is Giddy Yarns. It's one of her sock sets where it comes with a 50-gram main color and then a 20-gram mini, so you get 70 grams of yarn. It's perfect for a pair of socks. I knit the socks how I normally would have, and this is how much yarn I had left from the main color. Now I have plenty of the mini. I have enough really to do another pair of socks for heels and toes, but this is how much I had left of the mini, which is perfect because it's enough to be able to say goodbye to and not have to feel bad about being wasteful. There might be 3 grams in here, so I could use it for like 1 heel or 1 toe on a pair of socks, but yeah, it's just the perfect amount of yarn when you don't want to have a lot of leftovers. So I knit these with my regular recipe, a Turkish toe cast on. I did a fish lips kiss heel. I did 1x1 ribbing for like 12 rows and then bound off with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And I think they worked out perfectly. I'm very, very happy with how they look, and my mom is very excited to have them. She has asked for her next pair to be red, or to have red in them, because she's got a lot of red shirts. So that will be the plan. She's already picked out yarn from my stash and everything. And then my last FO is a pair of socks that I knit for Delaney. If you've tuned into the past couple of podcast episodes, then you know that Delaney has recently shown quite a bit of an interest in hand knit socks and has taken all of my cast-offs, all the pairs that I've decided I'm just not going to wear anymore, and she's wearing them every single day as long as they're clean. And so I told her that she could pick out the next pair of socks, or next yarn that she wanted me to make my pair. I told her to pick out the yarn from which she would like me to knit her next pair of socks. Yes. And she said, you know, Mom, what would be really great is if I could get a hot and cold pair of socks. You know, like one that has hot colors, like reds and oranges and pinks, and one that has cold colors, like blues and greens. And I said, well, look through and see what you can find. And she found this mini set that I purchased at Yarn Fest, Interweaves Yarn Fest, which is held in Loveland every year. And in fact, is next weekend. And I got it from Cannon Hand Dyes, who is, which is dyed by Amy, who is a Ravelry friend of mine from years back. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it when I bought it. You know, as you can see in the picture, it's got some neutral colors and then some very bright colors, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it. I had a plan for the neutral that I came up with a couple of months ago for it's a colorwork cowl, and so then I was like, it just had these bright colors just hanging out there, and she goes, well, what about this? So I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. She just told me how she wanted them knit, so I knit her a hot sock, and a cold sock. We just split the colors basically in half, and this is what she wanted. So I did it exactly how she wanted. She put the colors in the order that she wanted. She decided that she wanted them to be in blocks, to be colored block like this, and yeah, that's what she got. Again, I knit these with my regular recipe. I did a Turkish cast on, I did a fish lips kiss heel, and 1x1 ribbing with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. This was the leftover. This is just a black that I had left over from the final pair of Knitterly Things Vesper socks that I knit last year, my December pair for my box of socks, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough, so I did the ribbing a little bit short. I only did 10 rows where I normally do 12 or 13, but other than that, it's just my normal stuff, and she's super excited. In fact, she was a little bit distraught when I told her she couldn't wear them until I podcast, because I finished them like a week ago. But now I've podcast, and she can wear them, so she's excited about those. And that is all that I finished. And I really don't have very many whips, just two. One you have seen on several occasions. Let me show you the new one. Of course, when I finish a pair of socks, I have to cast on a new pair of socks, even though it is taking me quite a lot longer to knit socks this year than it did last year, or especially the year before. But my focus has been on other things. This is, I think this is the fourth. Yeah, the fourth pair of socks that I've knit this year, and it's March 16th, which still may seem like a lot, 4 pairs of socks in 2.5 months. Well, not even 3 pairs of socks in 2.5 months. But when you think in 2017, I was knitting 5 to 6 pairs of socks a month. I've really gone down in my socks, and I haven't knit a single pair for myself yet. That'll probably change soon enough, but this pair I am knitting for my uncle. Here is what I've got so far, just the ribbing. I've done 20 rows of ribbing because he's a man and wants them more manly-like, and so they seem to need more ribbing. And I'm doing them top down, you might notice, which is unusual for me, but I want to make sure that they're not too tight, so I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset. I really enjoy doing a fish lips kiss heel, or an afterthought heel, you know, more of like a short row type heel. But it does affect the fit. It makes the sock snugger, and if you have a higher arch, it can really make a difference. And I've only knit, I think I've knit Uncle 2 pairs of socks in the entire decade plus that I have been knitting, so I want to make sure that these fit, especially because he bought this yarn. He bought it when he was here last Christmas, not Christmas 2018, Christmas 2017, with the intention that I was going to knit him a pair of socks out of it. So since he spent the money on the socks, I feel like I really should make sure that they are ones that he can wear comfortably. This yarn looks like this in the cake. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful red. The tag has been chewed on a little bit by my lovely puppy, but it is Andromeda sock yarn, who is a small indie dyer, never duplicates a colorway. So if you see something you like, you kind of have to get it, because you really won't see it again. I think I've seen one time where she has duplicated a colorway, and that was only because the call for it was so strong by people who had seen it on Instagram. And she mostly sells on Instagram, but she is carried at my local yarn shop. So I see her stuff there all the time and very often want to buy it. So anyway, this is called Seeing Red, which seems like an apropos name, and I am going to knit Uncle a pair of socks out of it. My mom incidentally, tried to talk me into making socks out of this for her. And I told her that I couldn't because Uncle had paid for the yarn, and she looked at me like, why does that matter? He's her brother, so you know how it goes. Kind of a sibling rivalry type thing. And then my final whip is the Brunswick that I have been working on for what seems like forever for Lauren at Lolo Did It. This is a commission piece. And it has been slow going. Part of the reason is because she had me pause so that I could knit something else on commission, and part of it is because I've been working so many hours trying to get my accounting work taken care of, and part of it is because these rows have over 400 stitches. I think I'm at 416 stitches. So even though I'm just knitting stockinette in the round, it still takes a while to get through 416 stitches. But I am making progress. I took some time because I was just kind of tired of just working on the body. I decided to go ahead and do the sleeves and the collar. So I've gotten the collar and the sleeves done. They're very short sleeves, obviously, so that didn't take very long. And I am pretty, I mean, I've done a decent amount on the body, as you can see. There, now you can see it all. But I still have quite a little bit to go, and I haven't even gotten to the color work yet. I'm just at the point, there's some short rows for shaping. It's a paid-for pattern, so I can't really give much away, but there are some short rows to make the back a little bit longer, and so I've got to do that, and I'm right about at that point, and then got a couple more inches, and then I get to do the color work. And the color work kind of almost looks like a cityscape, sort of. I'll post a picture of what it's supposed to look like, and I am using this color, this just black, for that part. So yeah, just making my way through. Basically work on this every day, and just, you know, it's nice because it is just stockinette, so I can work on it on evenings when I am tired from work and we're watching TV and I don't have to really focus on it. Now that I'm doing short rows, I've got to focus a little bit more, but today is Saturday, and that's when I get to do a lot of my knitting, or the lion's share of my knitting for the week, because I get to, you know, in the evening kind of hunker down and watch movies and enjoy my time to myself. But I am looking forward to getting that done because there's a lot of things that I want to knit. And while Lauren has been very supportive of the time that is taking me and has not rushed me in any way, I still feel like I need to get it done as soon as possible for her. So yeah, so I've been putting everything else on kind of hold. So that is all that I've got on the needles. I do have a couple of plans. One is the hat that I'm going to knit for March's Hippo for the holidays. And that is this gorgeous thing. This is the one that I originally was going to knit for myself. It might still be for myself. This is Yeti Goes to a Galaxy Far, Far Away, which is a Star Wars theme, and just absolutely beautiful. I'm looking forward to that. So I'll get that one started pretty soon because we're halfway through March now, and while it'll only take me a couple of days to knit the hat, I still want to make sure that I'm not trying to stress myself out the last couple of days. And really, you know what? I know I said I had a couple of things that I was planning, but I don't. I just have the hat. There are some other things that are kind of in the works, but I haven't solidified anything. So yeah, I guess we'll talk about those maybe on my next podcast if I have solidified the plans or if I have them on the needles at that point. Okay, so let's talk about yarn that I have gotten recently. I've done a little shopping. I'm not going to lie. There's quite a bit more yarn in my my house than there was before. First, I have my February sock club for Knitterly Things, Vesper. She's doing World of Color this year, so each month it's a new stripy, I think it's stripy and speckles, although maybe not on this one. An exclusive color of the month stripy colorway. Okay, so it's one. She's picking a color. Last month it was red, which by the way will be the socks for my mom, the red socks that she's asking for. And this month, or February, was blue. And I'm really keen on this colorway, especially love what she's picked for the heels and toes. I did pay a little extra every month to get the heel and toe skein, but I really like contrasting heels and toes. And I figure even if I decide not to use them for these, for this skein, like if I decide, nah, you know what, I just want them to be out of this, then I can always use a solid heel-toe skein for another pair of socks. Always, always, always. This skein I did not actually buy. This one is one that I earned. For doing the Hippo for the Holidays last year, for 2018, if you did every month for the 12 months, then Lauren awarded all of the people who finished with a specially dyed skein for them. And this is what came. Oh, and I'm so in love with it. Look at how beautiful it is. So this colorway is Hippo for the Holidays 2018. And it is in the plush base, which is what I requested. And it's just got some beautiful speckles. And it came with a little Lolo in blue tourmaline, which is a very beautiful color and goes very well with this. So definitely will be making this into socks at some point, probably for myself. Then I was at my local yarn shop, which is Colorful Yarns in Centennial, by the way, and they've gotten in some new stuff. They have some Legacy Fiber Arts, which is a lovely mother-daughter duo podcasting team, and the Mother Dyes Yarn. This colorway is, what's it called? Should call it up. Kirk? Oh, Kirk! This is one of the Gilmore Girls colorways, and it's so funny because when I watched their podcast and they were revealing these colors, gosh, that was like last year, early last year, maybe even a year ago. This was one of the ones that I was like, oh, that's so pretty. I wish I could get that, but I never got around to buying it. And when I saw it at the shop, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's really pretty. I should get that. And now I know why. Yeah, sorry. Just had a moment. And then speaking of Andromeda sock yarn and the fact that she doesn't repeat colorways, I recently saw that she had 2 skeins held at Colorful Yarns that I just couldn't pass up. The first one, gosh, look at that. How can you, I mean, no orange lover could say no to this. This is called Pumpkin Spice Forever, and I love it. And then I also got this skein. For some reason, I just thought that the orange and green needed to be bought together, although I don't plan on knitting them together. And this one is called the Warrior's Code. It's just very pretty. So, oh, and then lastly, I got this set from the Crafty Toads. The Toad Hollow is the yarn shop, and the podcast is the Crafty Toads. Sisters Mary Beth and Helen from New Jersey, who make bags and dye yarn. And these colorways were inspired by this book, the Lost Words collection. And I just thought they were beautiful. So the colors are Dandelion Puff, Acorn, Goldfinch, and one of these is Adder, and the other one is Lost Words. I think this one's Adder, and this one's Lost Words. But I just thought they were really pretty. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, but I just thought the collection looked so good together. So, yeah, and here is their label, I guess. And then, let's see, I got a couple of non-yarn things. These just came today. I decided to go ahead and get a set of wood sock blockers. The plan is to, I have my Rainbow Dash sock, my one sock that I decided that I wasn't going to make a matching sock to, that I wanted to display. And I don't know if I'm going to put it on this to display, or if I'm going to put it on this and use this one now to show the socks that I have finished. Haven't quite decided, but I did get a set. And these are the medium size. As you can see, they're from Woodico, which is a company in Turkey, I believe. So it did take a while from when I ordered them to when they were made, and because they're made to order, and then it took a while from when they were finished to get them to me with the shipping. But I got the medium size, which is a 7 to 9, and I will say that these ones are quite a bit bigger. Not quite a bit bigger, but they are bigger than the metal ones. They're longer, although not quite. I don't know. I mean, they're shaped differently, obviously. I'm gonna see how they work. They both. My mom's and Delaney's socks that I showed you earlier are smaller than mine, and I did get these to fit my feet. I wear an 8. My mom wears a 6.5, so I didn't want to stretch them out by putting them on these, but we'll see with a pair of socks that I make for myself. And then lastly, I got this. Came across this. Alice in Wonderland is my favorite story of all times. Not necessarily Disney Alice in Wonderland, but Alice in Wonderland itself. The Lewis Carroll book is my favorite book. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I love both those books equally. And then I really enjoy many of the adaptations that I have seen. My favorite is a made-for-TV movie that came out in the 80s that was, it was live action, and it had just a plethora of huge actors. Red Skellington played the White Rabbit. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Sammy Davis Jr. Played the Caterpillar, and just, I mean, Carol Channing played the Red Queen, or the White Queen from The Looking Glass, and just, it was just amazing. It's, if you ever have an opportunity and you like the Alice in Wonderland story, especially if you like musicals, because it is a musical, you must see it. The best adaptation I've ever seen. But anyway, Alice in Wonderland is my favorite. Reading is, besides knitting, my favorite hobby. It's my second favorite hobby after knitting. And so I got these. They are letters, obviously, that have the illustrations from the book and pages from the book on them. So I have R, and I have E, and I have A, and I have D, read, and it goes up on my bookshelves. And I thought it was cute. My only complaint is I do wish that they'd used a color. I know that I wish that they had printed it with some kind of color. They're just, or had the letters a color, and black and white on the illustrations. I think they're just a little bit plain. I don't know if that had been an option. Some of the examples that I had seen had color. I don't know if I just ordered them wrong, but I mean, I still really like it. But yeah, that would be my one complaint. And speaking of reading, let's see, what have I finished recently? I did just finish this duology. This is No One Else Can Have You and Nothing Bad Is Gonna Happen, both by Kathleen Hale. And when I put these on Goodreads, Topher, who is a friend through the podcast, commented asking if I picked these because I was interested in the story or because there was knitting on the covers. And the fact of the matter is that I totally picked these because there was knitting on the covers. Look at those. Aren't those great sweaters? I would wear both of these completely. There is some drama with this author. If you look on Goodreads, both these books have terrible ratings, and that is because the author had an issue with a reviewer who reviewed her book poorly, and there was just an issue between the two of them because of that. And unfortunately, there was some backlash from that. I did not know that when I bought these books. I don't know if it would have affected me, affected my buying of these books, but I decided to separate the art from the artist, as it were, when I read them, and see them as the art themselves. And you know what? I really kind of liked them. I liked this one a lot more. This one was still good, but this one was much better. This is the first one. And it's set in, you know, it's kind of like Fargo. If Fargo the movie, if it was a YA book instead of an adult movie. So it kind of gives you an idea of what it's like. And, you know, it was pretty good. They weren't great, but I did enjoy them. And again, these covers are amazing. I loved the covers. I also just finished reading Stay Sweet, which is a book by Siobhan Vivian. Siobhan Vivian is a writer that I enjoy quite a lot, and this is one of her newer books. I think this came out in 2017. And it's a very simple story about a girl, Amelia, who is in her final year of high school, and every year since she was a freshman, she's worked her summers at this, at Mead Creamery, which is an ice cream stand. And this year, it's her final summer before going into her senior year of high school, and she has been nominated as head girl. And she finds out before, like 2 days before the place is supposed to open for the summer, that the owner, Molly Mead, has passed away. And Molly Mead started the stand when her fiance ended up having to go to fight in World War II. And so you kind of go back and forth between Molly's story from during the war and Amelia's story, you know, two women who are trying to kind of find their place in the world, kind of trying to learn what they are destined to be, and how it is kind of different in the two eras. And I really enjoyed it. It's a nice, light, summery book. Not really something that you would normally read in February and March, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've read 3 different Siobhan Vivian books that she's written by herself. I've loved every one of them, and then I've read a series that she wrote with Jenny Han, which I liked as well. This is a YA book, of course, but if you're a fan of YA, then you would maybe enjoy that. And then lastly, I just finished this book today. It was actually a reread for me. This is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I read this book probably in 2015. And it's a hard book to get through. It is the story of Violet and Theodore Finch. Violet Markey and Theodore Finch, who are both struggling with some significant issues. And then this is a trigger warning for suicide, for definite sure. But I think it is a powerful book, because it touches on some serious issues with mental health and suicidal thoughts, and the dynamic between a teenager who is dealing with mental health issues and suicidal thoughts and the parents of said teenager, both Violet and Finch, not to spoil anything, because it's kind of part of the synopsis, but both Violet and Finch are dealing with these issues, and their parents handle it in two completely different ways. And it's just, it's an interesting look into that. As a parent of a 14-year-old daughter, I see it, I think, from a different perspective than somebody who was, 15, 16, 17 reading this book. And it impacted me when I read it the first time. I think it impacted me even more this time because I knew what was coming, so I was able to pay attention more to little nuances instead of just getting lost in the story. And it builds off of the author's personal experiences. So there's definitely a personal touch to all of this. I do think that it is worth reading, but I would not recommend it for a young teen, and I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who is struggling with their own suicidal thoughts, because it could be a trigger for that. But I did, yeah, it's a powerful book. It does make me interested in reading more of her books. I think this is her 7th book, but it is the first YA book that she wrote. So, and I haven't read anything else by her, but yeah. All right, guys, that's it. It's going to be a short one today. I feel like maybe I rushed through things, or maybe I didn't have as much to talk about. I don't know. But that's how it goes. That's how the cookie crumbles. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Happy knitting. I'll talk to you later. Bye.